Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dana B with Kent G and Charlie M from the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. Want to say good morning to everybody. Today is April 11th, 2025, in the year of our Lord. So good morning. God bless you. This morning, we have the opportunity to talk to a really good friend of ours and a hardworking patriot and our 6th District Chair, a good friend of ours by the name of Frank. No, that's his dog. I'm sorry. It's John Massoud, and he and Frank are here to join us this morning. But before I get started, I want to tell you a little bit about us. We are the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. We started this about 3 years ago, and we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're a Christian-based conservative cadre of citizens that just love this country. We have 7 different ministries, from our spiritual, educational, constitutional, civil defense, preparedness, and we work a lot on the elections. And a lot of people don't know how our civil part works. We're trying to give people the idea of of ethic, or not, a civil rights 101 and how things work. And we'll be doing a conference on this. Matter of fact, John Massoud is going to be joining us and tell us a little bit about what he does. And that'll be
Civics
on
101,
June
right?
11th. June 28th, 2025, at the Millwood Fire Hall. We'll be behind the fire department. There's going to be some great speakers there. We plan on packing the house, but it'll give people a really good idea of civics. Okay. And we're going to have some great speakers there. So make sure you go to wakeupwinchester.com and register for that on the 28th. We've got a gun raffle happening at the same time. So come on out, join us, and have a lot of fun with some good Patriots. So without any further ado, we got our good friend John Massoud here with us, and I'm going to turn it over to Charlie because we have some excellent questions for John today. And we like to have some fun with this because, as conservatives, we're the fun party. We're the people that like to have a good time, make sure that our rights are protected, and enjoy life on a daily basis. So, Charlie, take it away, my friend.
Okay, thanks, Dana. Um, John, we know that you're the chair of the 6th District of the Virginia Republican Party, right?
Yes, sir.
That's um, a group, an organization that's over all of the local county Republican parties, of which
Yes, sir.
we are part of the Frederick
Yes,
County Republican Party.
that is correct.
And we really appreciate your service
And I
in
appreciate yours.
leading that effort.
Yes, we do.
And but as chair of the 6th District in Virginia, um, what do you have going on? And to be earlier than that, even what led you to serve in this capacity?
Uh, I got involved in my first campaign in 1968 when Richard Nixon was running against Hubert Humphrey. I was 3 years old at the time, and I saw the Nixon signs, and I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. And I told my mother if she did not vote for Richard Nixon, I was going to hold my breath until I died. I think she took me seriously because she did vote for Nixon. I seriously started working on my first campaign in 1980, doing get out the vote phone calls and working on election day for a great man known as Ronald Reagan. And I have been working in Republican campaigns and conservative efforts ever since. Uh, I was born and raised in Arlington, Virginia, moved to Leesburg for a few years, a couple decades ago. I told myself I always wanted to restore a pre-Civil War house. I found this beautiful place in Strasburg that I live in, and I just fell in love with the people. Um, I've been privileged enough to serve on the town council here for one term. And I got involved in 6th Congressional District politics back in 2016. I learned from a dear friend of mine named Scott Sayer. I learned a lot about precinct operations. He was voted out of office in 2018 by my predecessor, and there were just problems overall. I became the vice chair of the Congressional District Committee at the time. And there were problems, and the committee clearly was not working. I threw my hat in the ring in 2020 with the understanding that we were going to make the 6th Congressional District great again. And I've been going up and down, traveling among the units, and trying to understand what their problems were, what was going on, what we needed to do to make things better. And I started to understand something that a lot of people in Virginia missed. The how do I say this? The theme at the time in the 2010s was, let's try to win Northern Virginia. And I'd always been saying that Northern Virginia was kind of what Northern Virginia was, but we had to do something else, and that was drive up our turnout in the 5th, which is Central and Southern Virginia, the 6th, which is the Shenandoah Valley, and the 9th, which is Southwestern Virginia. In 2021, Glenn Youngkin did this, and he won by 63,000 votes. Now, the reason that number is important is from 2017 to 2021, we got our vote totals in the 6th Congressional District up by 63,000. So I tell everybody, we want it here. The voters, the volunteers, the Republicans, and the independents who were just sick of what was going on in Richmond wanted for us in the Shenandoah Valley. And I try to make sure that everybody remembers that at all times.
You do a great job at it, John. I mean,
You're very
you have
kind.
the Mountain Patriots behind you. You come out there all the time. You visit us. You know that there's usually 30, 40, 50 of us on a Monday night. And you've been to you've been to every Wake Up Winchester.
Everyone except for, I didn't go to the one last year. I was out of town at the time.
That's right.
I do apologize for that. I would like to tell you that I do this only for you, but I've so far done about 113 events in the first 101 days of 2025.
That's moving, John.
The congressional district has, I want to say, 23 locales, of which there are 18 Republican committees. And I've been to every locale so far, and the only thing I'm sad about is I haven't been to each one more times. But I'll be speaking at a Christian group, a group of Christian leaders called City Elders next week.
Yep.
And wherever there's 5 Republicans, I'll usually be the 6th, along with Ben Klein, our congressman.
Yeah, that's funny you said that, because I'm hooked up quite a bit with Marshall Patty and those guys from the Christian Elders. I went there with Dan Best about a week and a half ago, and I'll be out there. I'll be out there speaking with them. They invited me down, and I'll be out there speaking with them next month to talk about Mountain Patriots and how we can work together and bring city elders here into the Valley. So it's really great. That's right. You and I were at the same meeting.
Yes,
with Dan Best. That was a great meeting too.
It was a great time. I cannot say enough good things about City Elders. For those of you who don't know, City Elders is a national group of concerned Christians who understand that God, as we know it, has to be part of the public square and the public discussion. Amen. There are too many people who want to relegate God to the sidelines. Right. When you relegate God to the sidelines, bad things tend to happen.
Yep.
And the city elders understands that God needs to be part of the public discussion, and God needs to be part of the political process.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Well, that's and we say it's all about the mission, and this is really God's mission. You know, we're just we're the lay people that are trying to bring His word and bring all of us back to the ethical, moral way of doing things, the Christian, Judeo-Christian way of doing things, like our founding fathers did. Ken, I know you had a couple questions for John as well. So why don't you hit John up? He's awesome at this stuff.
All right, I'm going to throw you a curveball, John, because I don't know too many people asking this. But the one question is kind of generic as far as what should the Republican Party stand for? And when I look at all these representatives, one thing that always stands out is that everybody wants to defend the Second Amendment, which should be a no-brainer. If you're serving in a capacity to the people, such as myself, I actually had taken 4 oaths of the Constitution. There shouldn't be any argument that I should support the Second Amendment. If I don't support the Second Amendment, I probably shouldn't be doing my job. I probably shouldn't be taking an oath, because what I always tell people is honor your oath.
Mm-hmm.
What you never hear, and maybe we should, is people should probably start repealing the 16th Amendment. Any of you guys know what the 16th Amendment is?
You talk about the amendment having to do with the income tax.
There you go. Since
I would agree
1913.
100%, but I would
1913.
take it one step further. You need to
Federal
repeal
Bank.
the 17th as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And
funny.
that's the amendment. That's the amendment that calls for the direct election of senators instead of senators being chosen by the legislators.
Yes.
And it's funny how we don't hear more of an uproar about that, but it's always about the second.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there was a big shooting yesterday, and Spanberger was calling, as soon as she gets
Spotsylvania.
in.
Wasn't that
Yeah,
Spotsylvania?
Spotsylvania. Yep. And
Right.
I'm going off memory, guys. So she had called for, this big gun grab. And my question would be that if they don't want the citizens to be governed, to have that power under the Second Amendment, right? Because it's the citizens' responsibility. Will the government also be giving up their weapons as well?
Mm.
Well, first thing first, to answer your first question, what's the Republican Party stand for? Life, liberty, and limited government. And I think we all know what that means. But for those of you who don't know what that means that life begins at conception, that people have the freedom to do what they believe is the right thing. And that also means that you not only have the freedom and the right to succeed to the best of your ability, but you also have the right to fail. And the right to fail is just as important as the right to succeed. Because let's be honest, sometimes we learn best from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
Limited government, again, I think we all know what limited government means. The government's job is to protect the rights of the citizens, not to trample over them. I think in the last 30 years, with the onset of Bill Clinton, we've kind of gotten away from that. President Trump is doing a pretty good job of turning back the process, but this is just a start.
It's a start.
Talking about the Second Amendment, the only thing I can say is, and Dana B knows this
Say
already,
it, John.
I'm the only person around who has a shotgun named Hillary. It's a Franchi's Paz 12. I own approximately 50 guns. And I'm a great collector of 44 Magnums. And let's be honest, our four favorite words in the Constitution are shall not be infringed.
Written very simplified. Very
Very.
simplified.
Okay,
Right.
going back to your question, and the in 1863, Abraham Lincoln tried to implement a direct tax, an income tax on the citizens of the United States, which was later appealed by a federal judge. Then I want to say it was a court case, Pollock versus Farmers Bank. I think I may be right or wrong, but I know it's definitely Pollock, and I know it was a bank.
Good history.
That showed that Congress does not have the right to implement a income tax. Then we had the right to implement tariffs or excise taxes.
Correct.
And that's what gave us that, and our good friend, note the sarcasm, Woodrow Wilson, who was the worst president in United States history, gave us the 16th Amendment, which gave us the income tax. I also will say I have been a leader in a movement to repeal the 17th Amendment. For those of you who don't know, the 17th Amendment is what allows for the direct election of senators by the populace. It was done as part of the populist movement under the concept of every person has the right to a vote. Well, every person had the right to a vote. The problem is that you've taken corruption, you've taken Washington, D.C. and made it more corrupt.
Concentrated power.
We always had direct election of senators by the state legislators. The state legislators had a slightly different need than the populace did, and they could control the senators and how they voted. And the state governments need that. That's why I'm a firm believer of repeal of the 17th Amendment.
Fantastic answer.
Nice.
I'm telling you, I told you guys, John knows his stuff, man, and he is a patriot. There's no question. John, I'm loving this.
John, what do you think? Do you think we should have more people repealing the 16th Amendment? I sure do. Like I just recently retired, and I'm paying a lot more in taxes than I was when I was going back to work. And yeah, it's crazy. So hopefully things turn around. Yep, absolutely.
Well, you cannot. I want to say it this way. When I was on the town council in Strasbourg here a few years back, people kept coming up with great new ideas for taxes. And if you listen to them on the face of it, some of what they were saying makes sense. But the problem is that you're just feeding the beast of local, state, or federal government each time you increase a tax.
Yep.
We need less government, not more. And the best way to do that is not to feed the beast.
Yep.
We did here, for example, a what's the word? I don't want to call it Airbnb. An Airbnb Verbo tax, for lack of a better way to say it.
Verbo.
And everybody, Verbo, thank you. My apologies, Verbo. And all the other 7 council members were like, well, this is only fair. And I'm like,
Right.
You do understand that you're implementing government regulations for what someone does inside their own house, number one.
Yep.
And number two, you're just bringing more and more money in to feed bureaucrats who aren't particularly interested in serving the community, but only interested in serving their own agenda.
Their own interests.
Let me tell you before I leave a story. Right after that vote happened, our last budget came up, and there was some great rush to get this thing pushed with tax increases.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, I've not voted for a tax increase or a fee increase in my previous 3 years on the council. I'm thinking to myself, there's something wrong here. I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, but this is going too fast. And it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. And at one of the last meetings, I just happened to ask the director of public works, I just off the top of my head, how many positions are currently open? He goes, 7. I said, okay. It wasn't until the next day that I understood what I'd heard. We had been overbilling taxpayers for $350,000 a year in the town of Strasbourg for jobs they were never going to fill. Where did that money go? No one knows.
A deep hole.
But, and I exposed this, and you would think my 7 partners in crime, and the mayor would have been interested, but they basically blew it off like I was some kind of crank. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're overbilling the citizens here. This is wrong. You can't do this. So to shut me up, they did I wanted a hiring freeze on those 7 positions for a year or two. They would give me 2 positions for 6 months. I told them to go do something anatomically impossible. But that's government, and that's what happens when you feed it. And that's why I am so opposed to tax increases of any kind, because all you are doing at the end of the day is feeding a bureaucracy that does not care about its citizens.
100%.
You know, we're going to see, and I've been following this, John, a lot down the rabbit hole, and I see the IRS disappearing. Trump is out there right now talking about the tariffs. He's talking about people not paying income tax on under 100. If you're under $150,000, no income tax. There's so many things that I think are going to be repealed. And once we get Doge, which we're now finding out, not just Social Security, but everything else that's being sucked out of we have the means to be able to do this. And I see some prosperity coming, especially with leadership like yours right here in Virginia. And yours, I really do.
And yours, and Charlie's, and Kent's.
You know,
it's not
we're all in this together.
It's everybody. It's everybody.
Kent, did that answer your question? I think John did a great job at that. Excellent.
I think he did a great job, and I'm really impressed. He knows a lot about the 16th Amendment. You ask a lot of people, they don't know. Nobody's even heard of the 16th Amendment.
My parents and my grandparents taught me certain things. My father came to this country in 1962.
Right.
He's from Afghanistan. He renounced Islam and was basically told you were reconvert or else.
He was a Christian.
Like most people who are good Americans, he did not knuckle under to the thought of the time and said, there's something.
Hey, John,
you went quiet.
You went silent for a second. Can you
He
hear
married
us?
an English. He married.
There you
you
are.
hear me now?
We lost you for a second, John.
Yeah. He married his English teacher, aka my mother. My father taught me about the value of hard work. My mother taught me about the value of public service, and my grandfather, who was a history buff, taught me about American and Virginia history and gave me a great appreciation for who we are, what we are, and how we fit in the world. And it's just been an amazing journey these past 61 years.
I love it.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm the kind of guy who likes to study local government, who likes to study state government, who likes to study federal government. I've read the entire Bible through about 3 times. I read the Constitution. I've read most, not all, but most of the Federalist Papers. So please go ahead. Sorry.
Good
I need to
stuff.
get out of the house more, but that's okay.
People don't do their research, John,
No.
at all. So, but like I said, we have a great mission here, and we're all trying to pull people into this. So here's my question right now: we're into
Yes, sir.
primary season, and we're trying to get the right candidates. You know, if there was a Democrat that was a right candidate, we would do something. Okay, but I'm not seeing it. So, what should we be doing right now in this
Well,
primary season, not just
in
Mountain Patriots?
this primary season, remember that there's only at the state level, there's only one open race, and that's lieutenant governor. But you do
Right.
have a couple open races in Frederick County. You have the Stonewall District, where I believe you have Mr. Joe Brand versus Lance Allen.
Yes, we do.
And I think you have another race. There may be a race.
School board.
Well, the school board is not a nomination.
Right,
School
but it's still
boards are
important to
yeah.
us.
No,
Very
I
important
understand
to
that.
us.
We were talking about primary season.
Right.
There are a couple of other primaries in the 6th
The
Congressional
delegate.
District. I believe there's one in Botetourt. But we'll go back to Frederick. What happens at your local government is just as important as what happens at the state and federal. Your
Absolutely.
local government controls your police, they control your schools, your neighborhood livability, traffic, in a way that federal and state policies really don't. I'm not asking anybody to vote for anybody, but I would suggest that everybody gets out there and talks to Mr. Brand, talks to Lance Allen. I've known Lance for several years. I enjoy his company. We did have the privilege of running against each other a couple of years ago. It didn't end up how either of us wanted it, but I think Lance did a very good job of helping to reunite the party after a very divisive contest, and Lance is to be thanked for it. Mr. Brand is a very thoughtful, studious individual, and just take the time to talk to Pat Harity and John Reed, both of whom are running for lieutenant governor. If you live in the Stonewall District, take the time to get to know Mr. Lance Allen and Joe Brand. Again, I believe there is one other primary contest.
There's Mike Guvermont. There's Mike Guvermont that's running. And so, you know, John, and you know how Mountain Patriots works. When we do our Monday meetings, we've already had Bill Wiley out. We've had John Reed, and we actually do a podcast with John again next week. We're working on Pat Harity, who had a little bit of some health issues, so he'll be up. We just had Lance. We have Joe Brand that we're trying to get him to come in. We just had Bob Liero here last week. So we try to get every candidate to come in. And well, you know what happened in 23? We had everybody there. We took 8 of 10 races, helped take 8 of 10 races here in Frederick County. So you're right. We want to make sure that people have the ability to see, talk to, and meet the candidates like you. When you come out, you talk to us like you are today. We want to make sure, and that's why we're doing these podcasts, because we do want people to do their research and not just vote for the face or what they see on a placard. We want them to get a chance to meet and know the people. You're 100%
Going
right.
back to something you said before, we tend to vote for people, especially at the local level, on are they our friend or not.
Right.
And that's all fine and dandy, but take
Can you do the job?
Just take the town of Middletown, which I believe has a $9 million budget. It's good to have a nice guy there or a nice gal there, but you want someone who knows what they're doing financially. Same with Stevens City, same with Winchester, same with every local town up and down the congressional district, same with every county. The Frederick County budget is how much? 250 million? 200 million?
That's about that.
Okay.
Frederick County, I think they just voted on, I think it's either 2.3 or 3.2. Mark, my buddy Mark does all the board of supervisors stuff. They just voted on it. And there was some really good stuff that actually came out of that meeting, which we'll discuss on Sunday and Monday.
Well, you don't want a quote unquote nice person who's your buddy you can hang out with at a backyard
Somebody's
barbecue.
watching my wallet.
Watching your wallet. You want someone who knows what they're doing watching your wallet. And it's better if you can get along with them, but that's just my thoughts on the whole thing.
I agree.
Make sure you're voting for the right person, not just because you're voting for somebody who you went to school with, or you're in the a 4-H club or a community watch with.
Speaking of people,
speaking of people,
how can we better motivate and get people involved, get them out to vote, get them out to show up? How do we?
That is, Charlie, that is a great
action?
question to which we are struggling with right now. Because the problem we have is that Trump voters right now are very happy that our man is in office and that our man is doing their job. Yeah. And Democrats are doing everything they can to piss themselves off. And I'm not saying this as a pejorative, to rile themselves up to get out there and vote. Now they're coming up with some rather interesting lies, and I like to say that. Yeah, I like to go on the blogs of the Northern Virginia Daily and the Winchester Star and several others and say, it's not exactly accurate, and watch them go nuts. The problem we have is Abigail Spanberger is a dangerous, radical leftist.
Absolutely.
She is a horrible human being. She believes in DEI. She supports transgenderism. She has a 99% voting with Nancy Pelosi record.
Then you got the abortion law. To John, that's huge.
You have the abortion law. You have the law that would there are a couple other amendments on the ballot. There are so many things we have to get riled up about. The good news is our people are starting to engage, and if our people engage, we got a pretty good shot to win this. I had a couple conversations with people talking about how Abigail Spanberger raised twice the amount of money that Winsome Sears did, and I've had to sit them down and explain to them. And I gave a speech about this in Shenandoah County Wednesday night. Abigail Spanberger raised $6 million in a quarter. Winsome Sears could not fundraise because the legislature was in session. But in 3 weeks, she raised $3.5 million. That's pretty good. If that's how it's going to be the rest of the campaign, I like Winsome Sears' chances. Winsome Sears does have a chance to win, contrary to a lot of naysayers, doomsayers. I think she's got a pretty good shot. But do remember something. The issue that got Youngkin over the top in 2021 didn't come out until August, where Terry McAuliffe said parents have no right to determine the education of their children. And Youngkin seized on that. We don't know what the main issue in this campaign is yet. I would personally prefer it to be Winsome Sears being a conservative versus Abigail Spanberger being a DEI, racist, sexist, leftist. But that's just me.
That's exactly what they call us, John. You know what, though, that I am watching, and I tell you, my Mountain Patriots, all of us, the Mountain Patriots pretty much agree with this. With what's happened with Trump in the first, since January 20th, 21st, and everything that has turned so fast, you've got a lot of these Democrats and independents that are waking up going, wait a second. This is actually happening, and now you've got the mainstream news that's actually reporting on this, and we still have another 6 months. So if we have our boots on the ground and we're actually doing the wake up Winchesters and we're doing what we're doing right now, I think we can get this message out. And I have to give a shout out also to conservatives of Lake Frederick. Rhonda and Al Torres are phenomenal. They're good friends of ours. They're doing what we're doing. They've got, we have John Reed coming on next week. She has Dolores Oates, delegate for Warren County. It'll be on the 23rd, and we are interviewing Dolores on Monday. So we're getting the word out there the best we can, and I see the FCRC really kicking into gear as well.
The FCRC has gone from being one of the 5 worst units in Virginia. When I say unit, I mean a Republican committee, to being a top performer. And I run around and I tell everybody, and I will be giving a speech about this to the Republican Party of Virginia tomorrow, that the Frederick County GOP, under the tutelage of Derek Adler and Willie Deutsch, and with great volunteers such as yourself, are one of the top 10 performing units in the state of Virginia and need to be
Thank you.
recognized. But so, no,
Thank
no,
you.
thank you. Because I don't know how well people remember 2023. You guys were the FCRC was so messed up that the chairman took a vacation during early voting. The vice chair basically resigned, and the treasurer would not write checks. I
Right.
literally had to go in there and with Charlotte and with your help and a few others and writing things. The 6th Congressional District did your mailers,
Right.
and we ended up winning most of our seats.
We think we got
And
8 of 10, John.
we lost the 2 seats in the Opequon district,
Right.
and
Right.
honestly, if we had another week, we probably would have won those as well. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I had gone to RPV back in September and said we're likely to lose every seat in Frederick County. But the moment that Bill Arndoff, the treasurer, quit the party and endorsed the Frederick First, which is a quote unquote independent ticket, but in actuality is the Democrat Party.
They were a
for the most
Democratic
part.
wing, and we interviewed all of
Yeah.
them too, John. Had every one of them come out the Mountain Patriots.
Once they did that and we took back Frederick County,
Yep.
I think your people saw we do better if we work together than if we fight. We're going to have some differences. There are always going to be differences of opinions, but we can win doing this. And y'all have been doing great work, and I couldn't be prouder of you. I like to take most of the credit, but the credit honestly goes to you. It goes to Charlotte. It goes to Rhonda Torres. It goes to Al Torres. It goes to pretty much every member of that community. And it also goes to your electeds as well. You guys are doing an amazing job.
I mean, you just brought something up, and I want to thank you because you've been to so many Mountain Patriot things to help us and guide us and fill us in on what's going on. But I do want to give just a minute here to mention the passing of a really good patriot today. David Sparkman passed away this morning, so I want you to
I heard.
keep him and Martha in your prayers. Those two have been
Yeah.
staples in this community when it comes to being out at Frederick County Fair, getting signs out, keeping people organized, being part of Mountain Patriots. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Martha and her family today as well.
When I first moved down here, they were among the first 2 people I met. I met them, I want to say, at the Denny's in Mount Jackson in 2012. Good people. I have been to way too many funerals this year.
Yeah,
I
you
want to say
have,
about
haven't you?
14
Especially
or
last week.
15. And yeah, this is going to be another. There's nothing worse than burying a 10-year-old girl or an 18-year-old boy. And burying that 18-year-old boy was really sad. His mother was a Democrat, and his grandmother was the former Democrat chair of Shenandoah County. But we've always gotten along. They've always been pleasant. They've always been civil. We have our disagreements, and I think that we have a duty to be good citizens to each other, even if we
Absolutely.
disagree. And hold on one second. Even if we disagree, and it was a touching thing. I went to the viewing Thursday night, and I don't know if you've ever seen an 18-year-old whose body was riddled with cancer lying in a coffin. That's something no one should ever see. And the grandmother, Joyce Gary, who was again the former chair of the Democrat Party back about 40 years ago, looked at me. I walked up to her and I held out my hand to take hers, and she just lost it. And again, I've been doing this for a long time. I consider myself rather rough around the edges, and I about busted out crying too.
Yeah.
And it
That
was
is
just
so sad.
yeah.
That is so sad. Charlie, it's been a rough year, especially since they put us through COVID and the vaccines and everything else. It has been a rough couple of years. But Charlie, I know you had another question. We're staying with the mission here.
Just kind of looking over the whole political landscape. What do you see as the key issues that we need to be paying attention to today at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level? What are those things that we should pound away on?
At the local level, we always have to worry about our schools and worry about our law enforcement. We need to make sure that law enforcement has the tools necessary, and we need to make sure that our schools are giving our kids a good education. I think y'all have done a great job with your Frederick County School Board.
We're working on it.
They're doing some good things. I'm not sure I agree with everything, but it certainly has several steps in the right direction.
Mhm.
And you also have to make sure again that they're not pissing away all of our money.
Mm.
Shenandoah County, for example, is a 72% Republican county, but 6 years ago it had a 6-0 liberal school board. They were basically spending money right and left, and they, as you are, most of listeners are probably aware, they renamed Stonewall Jackson and Ashby Lee Elementary to Mountain View and Honey Run. I told myself starting in 2021, once I became chair, that we were going to take back local school boards.
Yep.
And we went from having a 0-6 minority to a 6-0 majority. We renamed Stonewall Jackson and Ashby Lee back to Stonewall Jackson and Ashby Lee. We've taken back several other school boards in the congressional district. Like I said, we've taken back Frederick, Shenandoah, Page, Rockingham, Augusta. Back when we had Amherst, we took back Amherst. We took back Bedford. We've taken back Botetourt. We've taken back Roanoke County.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in Roanoke County, every elected is a Republican, and pretty much all of them are conservative. So I'm happy with the job we're doing.
Boy, that's encouraging.
That is very encouraging.
At the
Very
state
encouraging.
level, I think differently than most people do. The number one issue we need to be discussing, and nobody's talking about this yet, is the growing hole that the Medicaid budget is putting in. I should say, the sooner or later Medicaid is going to blow a hole in our budget. Is currently the largest item, and is only going to get larger and larger and larger. Our legislators need to start the process of talking about Medicaid reform and cutting back on the Medicaid budget. So
makes sense to me.
At the federal level, there are so many things we need to talk about. I think President Trump is doing the right thing by trying to reduce the trade deficit.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that our military is ready, but we also should not be engaged in every conflict just because we might feel sorry for somebody. We have to look after American interests first. I love what Ben Klein is trying to do. Last year, he tried to pass HR 357, which would basically be the beginning of the end of the deep state by requiring that government bureaucrats not only enforce the law as it was intended by Congress, but that they be made available upon a moment's notice to Congress in case there were problems.
Right.
And if you've ever been hauled up in front of a congressional committee, that's something you don't want.
Ben Klein's been incredible. I mean, I follow everything that he's doing. What a patriot. You know, the guy's been
He's a
real
great
patriot.
American. I met him for the first time back in 2014 at the Hobnob in Middletown, and we just hit it off. He's been a great congressman. We honestly have the best congressman in the United States. I know some people might disagree. I would say with a straight face. I don't know how you can say anybody else, but that's just my opinion. And I am proud and humbled to be to run the party for him.
Excellent.
And for each and every one of you.
We're happy that you're doing it, John. You know, and when you're talking about the deficit and so forth, you know, I think it's pretty very unique that, especially with China, what do they have, a 4.5% GDP, and how Trump has put in the tariffs with the other countries that you can't trade with China to economically kind of stop them from a lot of the things that they're doing. So I see a lot of things that are going on in a positive way. And I think if we do this right with Doge and Elon, and what do they have till July of 2026 with Doge, I think we're going to see a lot of this money come back. And if we're smart about it, we can do an awful lot with the Medicaid budget as well.
We are going to see some money come back. The interesting thing about the tariffs is it looks like we're collecting $2 billion a day extra.
At $2 billion.
Say what?
That's what I heard. $2 billion a day. That's huge.
$2 billion a day so far.
Bigly.
The problem we have with China is if they were taking their money and that money was going to the average person on the street, I'd be like, well, we're getting a trade deficit, but I don't agree with this, but that's one thing. But we are basically funding China's military. And any
Yes, we
person
are.
who does not support the tariff just based on that alone, I don't want to say you're an enemy of the country, but I don't know a better term to use.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, we see that. We see that because you know we talk about this. Our mountain council gets together on Sunday nights. We figure out what we need to do based
Mhm.
on all the data that we have for the week, and then we cover it all on Monday with the 25, 30, 35 of us. Charlie
Mhm.
does his part, Kent does his. And just so you know, I knew Kent was going to hit you with something that had to do with amendments today because he is our constitutional amendment guy. Okay, Kent comes in and he does a phenomenal training program, which he did for us a couple weeks back, and he's actually going to do this again on the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment. And Kent, you're doing a podcast on this as well, aren't you?
I can. Yeah,
Well,
it's you know, if you need one, I can always do one.
well, that's something I'm looking
You've got
forward
one
to
coming up
hearing
too.
because I would have a lot of fun with that.
Mm-hmm. Tell
Yeah, we
John
do that.
what podcast you have coming up right now, Kent.
Yeah, I was going to say we usually do the amendments in person at the schoolhouse,
Uh-huh.
but the one that I got, I guess it'd be
Taking
the
some
next.
work.
It would be the one I just did a prepping trip out to
Coral Island.
South Core Island in North Carolina. So that'd be the prepping side of what we do. And it was great, man. Spent a whole week out on the beach, camped on the beach with hardly any human contact whatsoever.
My goal in life is to go to Ocracoke, about 150 miles south. So
Camped there many times, sir. You got to get there by ferry, and the ferry
I know,
ride to Ocracoke is
I knew
free.
that was coming.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah, the one down
yeah.
to South Core, you got to pay a little bit of money, but it's worth it. It's great to drive on the beach.
I love it. Well, let me ask you a couple last questions, John. What do you think? Okay, because we work with all the Mountain Patriots, and you know we have the Health and Freedom, the Wake Up Winchester Health and Freedom Conference coming up on June 28th. And while we're out here talking to people, of course, we're handing out brochures, we're handing out cards, we're talking to people at gas stations and so forth. So, with that in mind, what do you think one of the best elevator speeches? We were talking about this the other day. You get
Okay.
in an elevator with somebody,
You
you're
want
going up the
a 20
floors.
you want a 10-second speech?
You
I
go
give it to
for
you
it.
right
That's why
now.
we're asking you. You're all over the place, John. I mean, you've been
You want a
113
10-second speech?
places.
Democrats are for they, them, and we're for you.
Democrats are they, them, and we
And we're for
are,
you. For you.
we're there for you. I love it.
It's it, I was listening to what you were saying before that, and you mentioned something about medical freedom. That is one of the most important up and coming issues.
We're working on it.
Lynchburg just did Liberty University just did a seminar on that last week.
John, you went silent, so you
Yeah.
know.
We heard about the seminar last week,
We heard
and
about
that was the end.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, my phone keeps going out on
You
me.
hit the button.
The
Liberty University and Medical Freedom.
did an interesting seminar on medical freedom and how doctors are no longer allowed to treat patients. They basically
Correct.
have to just prescribe pills and not much else. I mean, look, how many people, Dana, you and I have discussed this on
John, I've been doing
how many
medical for 25 years.
how
I
many
know this
occasions,
stuff.
how many people died from COVID because they
Absolutely.
were refused ivermectin? I mean, come on,
Ivermectin. Yep.
ivermectin. Sorry.
Or the hospitals made money on their deaths by putting them in there.
Sure.
That's how they were laundering money at the same time.
Absolutely.
$112,000 for a hospital.
Absolutely. We were raised, when you and I were kids, we were raised to love and admire our doctors. Right now, and I hate to say this, in many cases, they're little more than legalized pill vendors.
Yeah. Like I have to, since you brought that up, I'm going to share this with you. I went to the doctor for a physical. I get in there. They ask me questions for a half an hour. Then they send me out for blood. I'm thinking I'm here for a physical. Okay. So
Yeah.
I get charged for that. Go over to
Right.
Walgreens, get the blood test, come back, and now he's ready to meet me. So they look in my ears, look in my eyes, look in my throat, touch my stomach, and send me home. And I'm thinking, I was there for 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, you know, and
How much do they charge you?
well, yeah. Well, right now I'm somewhere around $1,400, you know, of my deductible, which is another thing. And that's something, so you know, that Mountain Patriots is working on. We have a health plan that we're working on. We have a virtual urgent care. We have a virtual primary care program that we're working on. We're actually
Nice.
talking to doctors. And then we have a my notification
Yeah.
system. So if something happens to you, the whoever finds you, whether it be a doctor or an EMT or whatever, can call the number on the back of your license,
Yeah.
and they will contact 9 of your family members to let you know to pick up your kids or take the dog out or
Yeah.
where you are. Where, you know, you would, if something happened to John, we want somebody to be able to pick up Frank.
Well,
Okay,
speaking of medical freedom,
it's huge.
and I am an advocate for it because it's actually helped me. I have a horrible case of gout. I've had it for about 18 years.
We may be able to help you.
The pills worked, but they caused me a horrible weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
Starting in about 2019, I went to an all-natural cure. I stopped taking the allopurinol, and I
Right.
started drinking something called kombucha, which is a non-alcoholic fermented tea, a ginger flavored that.
Gotcha.
And my gout is gone, it's completely
Yep.
gone. And I've gone from 282 pounds to 209 pounds.
Wow. Well, you know, it's
And
funny you bring that
I'm
up.
healthier. I'm healthier. I have no gout. Life is good. So,
Well, I'll share this with you because that's one of the ministries. I mean, one of
yeah.
the ministries, our 7 ministries, is health. So we
Mhm.
handle, you know, the farming, but we also handle holistic medications and homeopathic. And Kent and I were talking about this, and a lot of us have high blood pressure, things like that. Just by changing the diet and taking something as simple as nitric oxide, both
Mhm.
he and I mean, my blood pressure went. I mean, I had one night where I went to the
Mhm.
hospital for it, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I've got to look at this. But
Mhm.
just by taking a couple different supplements, I woke up today, it was 117 over 79. And it cost me $16 as opposed to running across town and being in an emergency room for $1,200. So that's one of the things, and I hope people that are watching this are listening to what we're talking about, because Mountain Patriots does work with a lot of different doctors. Dr. Sheila
Mhm.
Fury is one of them. Daphne Kasparic is another one. Sandy Combs. There's quite a few people that we work with to use all natural remedies and medications. Half of us have been sick over the last few months, and we're taking fire cider. I mean, that's how we're curing things. Ivermectin,
Yeah.
quercetin, zinc, vitamin C,
Mhm.
vitamin D. Charlie, how many times have we run across town for somebody and gotten them well in 2 or 3 days by just delivering a couple things that they need that's all natural?
Happens all the time with us.
All the time. All the time. But you're right. Medical freedom is going to be huge. We're watching what RFK's doing right now, even with chemtrails.
Yeah.
A lot of that
Mhm.
stuff is coming out. But
Mhm.
John, what else do you think that we could be doing that would help us out? How can Mountain Patriots help John Massoud and the Republican Party
Well,
in Frederick
let's
County,
let's
Shenandoah?
not worry about John Massoud. Let's worry about Winsome Sears, our
All
Lieutenant
right,
Governor nominee,
let's
and
go there.
Jason Miyares.
You tell me
Get
what we
our
need to do.
people, explain to our people, and
Mhm.
explain to everyone you see that the future of Virginia is on the ballot this November,
Absolutely.
and
All
that
hands
what
on deck.
everybody needs to do is, if they want to continue the progress that we've had over the last several years, they need to vote for Winsome Sears, they need to vote for Jason Miyares, and they need to vote for their Republican legislators.
All over the state.
Yes.
They have to get active.
Amen.
Everybody's got to get active.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Mm.
Charlie, what are you thinking? I can see you're making some notes, so that means Charlie's thinking.
Well, I'm making notes on the wisdom I'm hearing from John,
This is incredible.
and I really
Excellent
appreciate
area.
that. And I will be, as I've been doing for quite a while, writing a monthly column for the Winchester Star
Right.
and letters to the editor,
Charlie, you have
based
no
on
idea.
these. Yeah,
You
yeah,
have no
based on these
idea how
things.
much, Charlie, you have no idea how important what you're doing is. And I
Mhm.
cannot, you, Mark Quimby,
I was just going to
myself,
say that.
every person who is writing on behalf of Republican candidates or on behalf of a conservative cause or the cause of liberty. We don't just win this battle in one way. It's a battle with many fronts. We have allowed the leftists to take over pop culture. We've allowed the leftists to take over the newspapers. We've allowed them to take over athletics. We sat back and did nothing. We are in a situation of our own making. And one thing that we need to do is to take back the opinion pages of these local newspapers. Charlie, the work that you and Mr. Donovan, Mr. Quimby are doing is just amazing, and I can't thank you enough for it. There's a guy named Ross Poplar in Shenandoah County who's done the same thing. We have people who've done it at the Royal Examiner. We have people who've done it at the Daily News Register in Harrisonburg. I'm trying to get them to do it in other papers up and down the congressional district. So I thank you for that.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
You know, it's pretty cool because we were down, Charlie and I had the opportunity of sitting down with Mike McCool at the Royal Examiner and talking about what we're doing with Mountain Patriots, and they were really impressed. So if people are interested, go check out the Royal Examiner. It explains everything that we're doing.
We were really impressed with Mike McCool too.
Oh, he was great. He was great.
He's one of us. But
I'm not sure if you want to say that in front, Royal. He's a rather controversial person. There's some very good people who love him. There's some very good people who don't. I'm not sure I understand all of it. But the Royal
one of the reasons is the same as the name of your dog. When you're Frank.
Yeah, he's Frank.
You stir things Frank.
Up. I love it. But we had a nice discussion with Mike, and he gave us the opportunity to explain what we're doing, and had some great questions for us. Kent, do you have any other last questions here for Mr. John before we
Johnny,
jump on to the next one?
Yeah, I just want to say condolences to the Sparkman family. Yes. I didn't know them. I'm sure David was a great person. I know his family's going through a tough time right now, so God bless them. Yep. It's never easy. It's never easy for anybody. And
I can second that
Me too.
motion. And I did know him. He's the reason I got involved in Frederick County Republican Committee. He showed up on my door one day because I had a flag out front. And enlisted me to spend many, many hours with him at polling places, handing out literature. And a wise man and a genius in his metallurgical career.
Absolutely, and an incredible prepper. I mean, and yes. going over there and hanging out with David and Martha has always been. It's always been a trip. It's always been a trip, you know. You know, it's the only place I know I could talk politics and get a massage when my shoulder hurts. You know, I'll tell you, Martha really helped me out. She's part of the reason I'm walking. And David was a huge influence with me with the Frederick County Republican Committee and getting involved. Well, I want to thank all of you. John, I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you very much.
Hey, real quick, I want to interject, Dana, before you shut this down. Most importantly, John, in addition to our 16th Amendment that we don't like, we definitely want to keep that two-way going. I think we'll be at the range on the 27th in Middletown doing some shooting, and I'm looking forward to that. Most importantly here, sir, I'm going to add you as a friend on Facebook, and you can't miss me because I have a Charles Bronson picture from The Mechanic of 1971. That's how you're going to know who I am. And
I just accepted it. But I need you to do me a favor and follow me at John Massoud, 6th Congressional District Republican Party Chair. So
okay, and you're also on X, so I got you on X.
Yeah, Twitter. Right.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah. And a lot of us were kicked off that. But it's good talking with you. You know, hopefully everything goes to the best as always, and hope to see you on a Monday. And maybe
he comes out. He and Frank will be there.
I come out whenever I can. I do ask that you remember the congressional district is 196 miles long and 42 miles wide, and I'm always somewhere. Monday, I'm going to be speaking to city elders. The Monday after that is the Botetourt GOP meeting, hopefully in a couple weeks.
I'm a Warren County guy, so I'm a transplant when I come out on Monday.
I was just at your GOP meeting a couple weeks ago. So
we're
Yeah,
trying
good
to help
deal.
Dolores out at the same time.
Yeah.
And
You know?
that is a Redskin jersey you're wearing. I remember a team called the Redskins when I was
Larry
growing
Brown,
up.
number 43.
Brown.
I went to my first Redskins game when Lombardi was our coach in '69, and I fell in love with the team then. I have two Sonny Jurgenses, two Billy Kilmer jerseys, a Brig Owens number 23, Ken Houston, who's most underappreciated strong safety ever, number 27. I have Pat Fisher 37, Charlie Taylor 42, Larry Brown 43,
That's who you got
Hamburger
on today.
55, and Jerry Smith 87.
The only time I ever rooted for the Redskins was 1982 when they played the Dolphins with Dan Marino in the Super Bowl.
No,
and
that was David Woodley. I was at that game.
And the teacher says, "Hey, if the Redskins win, no homework." It's the only time. I was a Baltimore guy, so I grew up on the Colts, and the Colts left under Ershaw in '83, and then I hated football.
Oh, so did we.
Until we got the Ravens.
Unitas is the most unappreciated quarterback. I mean, you
Yeah.
know he was great. I know he was
absolutely.
great.
Yep.
But you can't explain to a person today what you don't have football as we know without Johnny Unitas.
No,
He gave
you
us
do
the
not.
3-step drop,
No.
the 5-step drop, timing patterns. Just an
Yep.
amazing athlete.
My kid brother played ice hockey with his son back in the early '90s, and
Nice.
my dad got to finally meet Johnny U. My dad was a big Johnny U fan, so was I.
So
And
was I. Got a
that was
chance
a
to meet
different
him
time.
as well.
Yep.
I saw him
So-
play live twice. The last time was kind of sad. 1973, he was with the Chargers,
Yeah.
and the Redskins beat him 38-0. I actually met him a couple weeks later. Just a gentleman, just
Yeah.
the nicest guy in the world.
Just a regular guy. That's the best kind. So
Yeah.
But hey, hopefully you guys get. I really had a issue with football because they took away all the great team names, like even the Cleveland Indians or the Command. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It is.
And I hope the Redskins come back, and they need to come back. And,
Well, they can't do anything until the stadium is built.
Okay.
Because they have to get that built first. My guess is that whether Josh Harris, the owner, likes it or not, he's going to have to come to a hard decision and accept the fact that, number one, the fans don't like the name Commanders, and number two, most people who aren't communists prefer the name Redskins.
Absolutely.
Bring them back.
Even Indians are happy with the name Redskins. I mean, it's just it's
Sure.
amazing. It's
Absolutely.
amazing.
All right.
That's it,
you
guys.
have a great day, and God bless, and thank you one and all.
I want to thank you, John, but real quick before we leave, I just want to remind everybody, and John, I think you're coming out to talk for about 10 minutes at Wake Up Winchester. Am I correct?
20, yes.
The 28th. We have to
No,
have
I
John
said
there.
I'll be there on. I'm talking for 20.
Yes, he is. John will be there explaining how the districts work. There's 11 different districts and how all of that stuff works.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for being here today. That's the 28th of June from 11 to 7. Charlie, you got something real quick?
Prayer.
I was heading there. So make sure you jump on to Wake Up Winchester. And as always, since we are Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries, we are all about God and country. We have our own prayer that our infamous vice co-chair, Charlie, put together for us. And I'm going to ask him to take us out today.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world and this country that you have given us, and the patriots who are willing to care for it. Thank you for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic, and please help us keep it as the inspiring place to be. Please give us the wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, and the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Folks, I want to thank all of you. John, we'll see you soon. Charlie and Ken, I know I'll catch up with you later. Everybody have a blessed day. And don't forget about June 28th, Wake Up Winchester.
We'll
Thank
see
you,
you there.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
See you. God bless.